Greetings, friends, and welcome to Captain Samuel's Sandwiches. Today we're going to be doing a clean-out video, or the opposite of a book haul. We're going to go through this box of books that I'm going to either trade in or donate. So, why make a clean-out video, or the opposite of a book haul video to begin with? Well, there's a number of reasons for that. First of all, just because I didn't like these books doesn't mean that you might not like them. When I watch people do book haul videos, it's fun to see what they got and share vicariously in their joy. The main reason I do it, however, is I like to see what they've picked up and if it's something that I might like to be interested in. And if it is, I'll put it on my wish list of something that I want to collect. So I also want to send the message that you can still love books and also move books along. You can be a collector and have a small amount of books. And the reason for that is when I was a kid, some important people in my life really struggled with hoarding books in particular. And I know on BookTube, we like to joke, haha, you can never have too many books. But, based on my experience as a kid, yeah, you totally can. If you just want to go down the hallway to go to the bathroom and you have to sidestep through corridors of books and then gingerly step over other piles of books, and then you got to do the same thing on the way back. That's no fun. Books are great, but you want to make sure that your living space has room for people in it as well. And that also pertains to my situation. I bought my house after the pandemic, and housing costs were just absolutely nuts and through the roof. And I bought this house that was pretty interesting. It's actually old quarters for the granite quarry miners back in the day. It was built in 1903. And so it was basically just built by these captains of industry that just wanted to quickly put up some billets for their workers. And then in the 1970s, somebody put on an addition to it. But in general, the house is quite small, and so the space that I have for collecting books is 4 24-inch wide by 18-inch deep shelves. And that's what I have to work with. And while that might sound unpleasant, I actually kind of enjoy it. For me, it's almost like a self-imposed challenge. This is what I have for space for books. What do I want to put in there? And it really makes me think about what I enjoy, what kind of books I like, and it kind of makes me get rid of books that, I don't really care for, so that when I look at my book collection, small though it may be, I look at it and say, this is the best of the best. This is something that I really enjoy, something that really represents me and my interests and what I love to read, and it's not just bloated with stuff that I'm not really into or stuff that I read where I was like, that sucked, or, that was pretty meh. I also just want to add that if you're one of those people that loves to collect tons and tons of books and has a huge collection that takes up multiple rooms, that's cool. Just keep doing your thing. I'm not invested in telling other people how they need to live their life. I'm just sharing what my values are and what works for me. That's all. So as we go through this box, I won't be giving any of these books a star rating, but I'll give you a synopsis about each book and why I didn't care for it, but I'll also try to come up with something positive about it, because again, I hope that as you see me go through these books, you might get ideas for something that you might like to read. So let's see what we got in the box here. Okay, so right out of the gate here, we've got Mastodonia by Clifford Simic. This book was recommended to me by somebody. It is about an alien that lives in this guy's backyard, and this alien can create portals back into the past. So the person that owns the house goes into the past and experiences prehistoric times and has a couple adventures, but to be honest, the majority of the book isn't them having adventures in the past. It's people sitting on their front porch, sitting in coffee shops, walking down the street holding hands, talking about the adventures that they want to have in the past, instead of just going to the past and having some adventures. So I found it pretty dull. I'm going to move Mastodonia by Clifford Simicalong. Then we've got Frost World and Dreamfire by John Morrissey. I got about halfway through this book. There's nothing really wrong with it overall. It's about this kind of wolfman species that gets wiped out by a disease, and there's only one wolfman alien left, and it has to go on an interstellar voyage to try to find if there's any more of its kind left on another planet. At the beginning of the book, the wolfman alien gets the disease that killed everybody else, but somehow it survives, and that was a pretty big plot hole that I had a hard time getting over at the beginning of the book. Just overall, kind of dull. What I liked about it, though, was it has a message about not exploiting others. You know, just because you go to another place and the other people don't have as much technology as you, doesn't mean that you get to just take them over and do whatever you want. So I like that message. Oh, I also forgot to say something positive about Macedonia here. And what I'll say that's positive about that is when he does go into the past, it's really well done and interesting. And I also like the design of the alien creature. It was like this disembodied cat face that would peek out of the bushes. I thought that was kind of cool and unique. Then we've got Kronk by Edmund Cooper. This is a book about this virus that is spread through sexual intercourse, and when you catch it, you lose the inclination to commit any act of violence. I don't know quite what I was expecting out of this book, but it's just full of like shock value scenes. Kind of at the beginning, there's a scene where one of the characters goes to kill herself by jumping off a bridge, and she does that wearing nothing but sexy lingerie, which I just found kind of weird, and there's just a lot of scenes of everyone hanging around getting drunk. I think that the idea of the book was pretty interesting in a wild 60s psychedelic way, so if you're into that kind of thing, you might enjoy it. Then we've got Darkover Landfall by Marion Zimmer Bradley. This is a book about this space expedition that crash lands on a planet, and they send out a scouting mission to see what the planet is all about. And what the planet is all about is that there's this mysterious wind that comes through every so often and affects people's minds so that they have sex orgies with each other. It's my understanding that the author, Marion Zimmer Bradley, did some inappropriate and unethical things, to put it mildly. I tried to set that aside when I read the book because I know, I'm not a person that's been perfect in my life. I've never done anything like what she's done, but we've all screwed up in our life at one point or another, and I tried to set that aside, but it was pretty hard to do that when there's just all this really weird sexual stuff in this about people not wanting to have sex with each other. And then, even though they didn't give consent, this magic wind blows through, and then all of a sudden they do want to have sex. And at the end, it's all this weird focusing on making sure everyone gets pregnant. And not only did it have all this kind of shock value sexualized content, it also somehow managed to also be rather boring. So this one's on its way. The only thing I can kind of come up with for this book that's positive is this book has the best sculpted monkey asses of any cover that I've seen. So there you go. If you're into that, sculpted asses, it's the book for you. All right. Then we've got The Fuzzy Papers by H. Beam Piper. This is a collection of 2 books, actually. The first one is called Little Fuzzy, and the second is called The Other Human Race. It's about a miner that goes to another planet that is considered to not have any sentient beings on it, and as a result of that, the people that have mining charters can just do whatever they want with the resources, basically. And he discovers this little forest gnome peoples that are sentient, and the mining company doesn't want anyone else to find out that there's sentient beings on this planet, because if they do, they lose their mining charter. And it's about this one miner that does the right thing and tries to say, hey, these are a sentient alien life form. We got to stop exploiting the natural environment. So I really like that message. That's my positive thing about it. The first part of the book was quite good. The second half, though, is all of them in a courtroom having very detailed philosophical discussions about the exact definition of sentience. And I'm cool with that for a page or two, but when the entire half of the book is just courtroom drama arguing over minutia, it really bored me. And for that reason, I wasn't interested in the second book either. I kind of flipped through it. It didn't look like there was anything in there to grab my attention. So that's why the Fuzzy Papers is on the way. I'd also picked up the third novel, Fuzzies and Other People, but again, since the first book was pretty boring in my opinion, I'm not going to bother to read the rest. And then the last book we've got here is the Star Trial Trilogy. This is well, first I'll tell you about the cover. I picked it up in part because I love awesome covers, and this is a cover of a guy. He's having a great time there. You know, he's living his best life, out in the reefs of space, riding this mystic seahorse creature, and he's having a wild time. And so I thought this would be kind of a freewheeling adventure that would cheer me up after the 2024 United States election. And what the book actually is, it's about a dystopian hellscape run by this computer, and if you don't do a good job at following what the computer wants you to do, you get recycled for spare parts, basically. And so a lot of the book read like 1984, which definitely didn't cheer me up. And then when he got sent to the camp where they're slowly removing everybody's body parts surgically, this book scared the hell out of me, honestly. It was just pretty much a horror book, actually. And I don't do horror because of my post-traumatic stress and my military experiences. I thought the book was well written. I thought the world building was excellent. I think Frederick Pohl and Jack Williamson are good authors. So if you like dystopian horror, I could see you enjoying this book, but it wasn't for me. Okay, so those are the books that I'm going to be sending on their way to the next phase of their mystic cosmic journey. And I'm hoping that now that I've cleared out some space, I'll have some room for Christmas gifts. All right. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you're doing well. Thanks and be well.